The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Right, because there is nothing the internet loves more than watching a seemingly perfect mentor-protégé relationship just completely implode.
Exactly. Welcome to Starscoop Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. I am Jordan.
And I am Jamie. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we are doing a massive deep dive into a headline that has, entirely taken over the timeline. We are looking at why Alex Cooper just walked away from TikTok after the Alix Earle controversy.
Yeah, and we have a huge stack of sources to get through for this. I mean, we are talking deep psychological profiles, chronological timelines, and even some pretty intense insider reports about toxic workplaces.
Right, because what you see on TikTok is really just a smokescreen. It is a smokescreen for a multi-million-dollar boardroom war. So let us get into it. The whole catalyst for this deep dive is that Alex Cooper, who is obviously the massive force behind the Call Her Daddy empire, just completely deleted her TikTok account.
Which is a huge deal. I mean, she built so much of her modern cultural dominance on that app.
Oh, absolutely. And according to a Reddit entertainment thread we pulled, she stated she was just tired of seeing people constantly pit women against women. She framed it as this big moral stand.
Which is, well, there is a lot of irony there, right?
Hmm.
Because TikTok itself is going through this incredibly stormy transition in the U.S. business landscape right now.
Right, people are definitely migrating.
Yeah, like the 2026 Metrical reporting notes that users are actively fleeing to alternative apps. You have places like Upscrolled, which promises a chronological algorithm light feed.
Oh, I have heard of that one.
Yeah, and Neptune, which is this female-founded app that pushes genuine interactions instead of just follower counts. So the landscape is already shifting.
Wait, I have to stop you there, though, because, the premise of her exit feels just a little too convenient to me.
How so?
Well, users are leaving TikTok because of, technical glitches or algorithm fatigue or national security stuff. But Cooper isn't leaving because of that. She is fleeing a highly personalized nightmare of her own making.
Right, the algorithm is just aggressively feeding her own controversy right back to her.
Exactly. So is she really taking a moral stand against toxic culture? Or is she just escaping a PR narrative that she can no longer control because the whole internet is scrutinizing her falling out with Alix Earle?
That is the ultimate question here. I mean, when your entire empire is built on guiding the conversation, losing that narrative is terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
And you cannot outscroll your own controversy when millions of people are making videos about it. But to really understand how she lost control, we have to look at how this relationship actually started.
Yes, let us rewind the tape. We have to go back to 2023. This was the golden era.
The absolute peak.
Right. So Cooper is fresh off massive success. She signs this ridiculous $60 million Spotify deal, and she decides to expand. She launches the Unwell network to target Gen Z.
And her flagship signing is Alix Earle, who is just, a mega influencer at this point.
Completely.
Yeah.
And Earl launches the Hot Mess podcast, and it is an instant smash hit. It literally dethrones Joe Rogan on the Spotify global charts for a minute.
It was a massive win for both of them, a totally symbiotic relationship. But then, as we move into early 2024, our sources point out this subtle but really critical shift.
Okay, what kind of shift?
Well, fans started noticing that the Unwell network was redirecting a lot of its promotional energy. They started focusing heavily on newer talent they had signed, like Hallie Batchelder and Grace O'Malley.
But wait, that makes no sense. Just a year prior, Cooper and Earl were parading around as the ultimate success story. They were on billboards. How does a $60 million golden era turn toxic so fast just over some promotional shifting?
That is exactly what makes this fascinating. And to answer that, we have to look at the psychology of the people involved. We pulled this incredible piece of source material from the Nine Takes blog.
Ah, I loved reading through this.
Right. It breaks down the entire feud through the lens of Enneagram personality types. According to their analysis, Cooper is a type 7, which is known as the enthusiast, and Earle is a type 3, known as the achiever.
Okay, before we start throwing numbers around, what actually is the Enneagram system? For the listener who might be wondering, is this just glorified astrology for business executives?
That is a fair question.
Yeah.
But no, it isn't astrology at all. It's a psychological framework that maps out core motivations and fears, especially how people react under extreme stress or success in professional environments.
Okay, got it.
So a type 7, like Cooper, is driven by freedom and forward motion. They're constantly launching new ventures, and they deeply fear being stagnant.
Right, they have to keep moving.
Exactly. But a type 3, like Earle, is driven by recognition and prestige. They need validated success, and their biggest fear is being undervalued.
So it is kind of like, think of it like a startup founder hiring a rock star CEO.
Ooh, yes.
Like the founder is already bored with the day-to-day operations, right? They're looking out the window, dreaming up the next big project to launch. But the rock star CEO is sitting on her desk wondering why their name isn't painted on the side of the building yet.
That is literally the perfect analogy.
Ugh.
And that framework is the key to this whole dynamic.
Hmm.
For Cooper, shifting focus to a new podcast isn't malicious.
It's just business.
It's metabolic for her. She secured the win with Earle, so she naturally moves on to the next exciting bet. But for a type 3 like Earle, a lack of promotional focus is a direct attack on her identity.
Because if the boss isn't pushing you, you aren't the priority.
Exactly. And if you aren't the priority, you start to question what this deal actually says about your literal value.
Which brings us to the actual financial value. But wait, before we get into the boardroom explosion, because it gets crazy, if you are loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you are subscribed to Starscope Report. We have got even crazier stories ahead.
Seriously, you don't want to miss the financial side of this.
Because in December 2024, all that psychological subtext we just talked about started to bleed into the real world.
Yeah, this is where the money comes in.
Right. So Alix Earle's father, T.J. Earle, who, by the way, is a wealthy construction magnate, very business savvy, he goes on her podcast, and he drops this hint about a, quote, business situation that he wasn't happy about.
And the core issue, according to the reporting, was the structure of the deal itself. Because around this time, Cooper signs this massive, mind-blowing $125 million deal with SiriusXM.
$125 million. It is insane.
It is. But here is the catch. Earle's compensation was flowing directly through Cooper's company.
Which is wild. Like, we really need to break down the mechanics of this for you guys, because this is where the creator economy gets so complicated.
Let's do it.
When Cooper signs that deal with SiriusXM, she is selling the aggregate audience of the entire Unwell network, and Alix Earle brings a massive chunk of that audience.
A huge chunk.
Right, so SiriusXM pays Cooper, and then Cooper pays Earle her agreed-upon split, which means Earle doesn't own the underlying asset value she is creating. Her star power is literally subsidizing Cooper's valuation.
That has to sting.
Hmm.
I mean, she is essentially renting space in a house that she is helping to build.
Yes, but wait, isn't there a massive irony here? Look at Cooper's own background.
Oh, the irony is staggering.
In 2020, Alix Cooper was in this brutal, highly publicized fight with Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports.
Over the exact same thing.
Exactly. She fought to win back the intellectual property for Call Her Daddy.
Huh.
She felt suffocated by a corporate structure where her money flowed through Barstool and she didn't own her own work.
And now, 5 years later, she's become the exact system she once fought to escape. She went from the talent fighting the network to the network controlling the talent.
It is so cyclical. And Earle's response to this structure wasn't some loud public screaming match. It was a completely silent exit.
Which is very telling.
Yeah, so in February 2025, Unwell throws this massive Super Bowl party in New Orleans. It is heavily branded, the place to be. And Alix Earle is in New Orleans, but she skips the party entirely.
She is just vlogging around the city with her friends instead.
Right. It was a glaring, deafening absence. And shortly after that, Variety drops the news that Earle's show is no longer part of the Unwell network.
And notice the different ways they handled the split. It perfectly aligns with those Enneagram types we discussed.
Oh, true.
Cooper, the type 7, wants a clean public break. So she posts on Instagram that Unwell, quote, gave her everything back. She is framing it like, hey, I gave you the freedom I had to fight for. We're totally good.
But Earle plays it so differently. She does a cover story for WSJ magazine, and she explicitly says it, quote, taken some time to get everything back.
Right, in the Wall Street Journal.
Yes. She contradicts Cooper in the most serious business publication possible. And then Earle casually likes an Instagram post from Sophia Franklin.
Oh, this was the moment.
For those who don't know, Sophia was Cooper's estranged original co-host on Call Her Daddy. They had this explosive falling out years ago, and Sophia was announcing a tell-all memoir called Daddy Issues.
Earle liking that post is just, it's a silent declaration of war. It is the ultimate strategic move by a type 3.
Okay, a declaration of war. Come on, isn't it possible she was just like scrolling on her phone and double-tapped a friend's post by accident? Like, are we reading way too much into a single Instagram, like...
In everyday life,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But in the influencer economy, no way. And Instagram, like, from an account with millions of followers is essentially an official press release.
Okay, fair point.
A type 3 under stress doesn't blow up. They withdraw to the shadows and start communicating through positioning. Liking that specific post validates Sophia's experience of feeling blindsided by Cooper. It subtly tells the world, I experienced the exact same thing. It is highly calculated.
The digital footprint is never accidental at that level. I see your point. But listen, the subtext eventually drops the disguise. And later in the episode, we will talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming the moment it became all-out warfare. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
Because April 2026 is when everything just explodes.
Let's jump right into it. On April 9, Earle reposts a TikTok by a creator named The Bravo Mom, and this video is brutal.
Oh, it was scorched earth.
It calls Cooper an ambulance chaser and a grim reaper who actively profits off of women's trauma and heartbreak because, she makes them sign their lives away for exclusive interviews.
And that passive-aggressive repost is what pushed Cooper right over the edge. According to the 9 Takes analysis, this is when a Type 7 enthusiast gets pushed into a stressed Type 1 state.
What does a Type 1 do?
Well, a Type 1 is rigid, critical, and rule-enforcing. They abandon the whole fun, carefree persona. They want to force the issue out into the open and demand absolute clarity.
And force it she did. On April 13, Cooper posts a direct video on TikTok. She stares right into the camera, looking absolutely furious, and says, "Say what you gotta say about me. There's no NDA. Stop hiding behind other people."
She straight up accused Earle of using fake drama to distract the internet. She basically said, put up or shut up.
It was such a massive escalation. But Earle's response, it was masterful deflection.
It really was.
First, she just casually comments on Cooper's heated video. She just writes, okay on it, just breezy.
So unbothered.
Right. And then, a few days later, she posts a TikTok of herself taking a pole dancing class. The song playing in the background is You Don't Own Me, and the caption just says, busy filming. She didn't explain anything at all.
She just let the music do the talking.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Earle's appearance on the Today Show on May 12, 2026.
Oh, this was brilliant PR.
She is sitting there, fresh off her Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover. Craig Melvin asks her directly about the feud. And does she take the bait? No. She just says, it's exaggerated. I love everyone.
I love everyone. Wow, it is the perfect PR shield. I mean, you can't attack someone who says they love everyone without looking like the villain yourself.
Exactly. As a Type 3, you don't engage in comment section warfare when you have the ultimate digital armor. The Sports Illustrated cover is her SEO dominance.
She's just overwriting the narrative with pure success.
Right. She doesn't need to argue with Cooper. She just needs to look transcendent.
But even with Earle floating above the fray, the collateral damage from this feud is spreading. It is pulling other creators into the blast radius.
Oh, yeah. The whole community is getting dragged in.
Brianna Chicken Fry LaPaglia, another major podcast host, jumped into the conversation on her show, Planbury Uncut. She actually called Cooper the mean girl final boss.
Which is quite the title.
And there are even rumors circulating online about a pre-recorded clip Cooper allegedly saved to strategically attack Earle. It is getting incredibly messy. The whole veneer of this supportive influencer community is completely gone.
And this messiness is pulling the curtain back on the corporate reality of the Unwell network. Because if we zoom out from just the social media drama, we have to look at the reporting from The Independent.
Right, this is where it gets really serious.
It paints a very dark picture of what is happening behind the scenes at Cooper's company. While the Unwell creative agency just secured a massive multi-year advertising deal with Google, internal operations are reportedly crumbling.
We need to be explicitly clear here for you, the listener. These are allegations detailed in the Independent's reporting. We are not taking a side, and we aren't verifying these claims ourselves. We are just telling you what the source material says.
Right, exactly. We are just reporting the claims.
And the allegations are severe. They center around Cooper's husband and co-CEO, Matt Kaplan. According to the insiders who spoke to the press, Kaplan has allegedly created a profoundly toxic workplace.
Yeah. The details are intense.
We are talking about claims of him screaming at employees, threatening to blacklist people in the industry, and even causing a crew member to cry on set during a YouTube show.
And it isn't just low-level staff reporting this. They have reportedly driven away key executives, including their head of brand marketing and their chief growth officer.
If these insider reports are true, it entirely shatters that relatable girl's girl illusion they sell on the podcast.
And this is why this deep dive matters to you. We consume these shows because they feel like we're just hanging out with friends.
Right, it feels intimate.
But the Unwell network is facing the harsh reality of corporate scale. Building a $125 million media empire requires ruthless business tactics. It requires intense corporate structuring and high-pressure environments.
Those realities directly contradict the carefree, best friend persona that is required to keep the audiences engaged. You cannot be a cutthroat media executive in the boardroom, allegedly enforcing a toxic environment, and then just turn on the mic and pretend you are a chaotic 20-something trying to figure out life with your besties.
The audience is way too smart for that now.
Yeah. Way too smart. When the talent you hired, who was supposed to be your friend, leaves and basically implies they were taken advantage of financially and emotionally, the illusion breaks. The parasocial relationship between the host and the listener just snaps.
That is the ultimate takeaway from all of our sources today. Whenever you see influencers engaging in this kind of cryptic subtext, the passive-aggressive likes, the vague TikToks with pointed background music, there is almost always a very real, very lucrative contract dispute at the center of it.
It's rarely just about hurt feelings.
No, it is about intellectual property ownership, revenue splits, and promotional guarantees. The drama you see on your phone is just the public exhaust from the corporate engine.
So we have gone from a single deleted TikTok account to uncovering a fractured business empire. We looked at psychological warfare between former friends and the deeply hidden dark side of creator-owned networks.
We've looked at how Enneagram types clash under million-dollar stress and how the transition from independent creator to corporate middleman fundamentally changes a person's brand.
It is a lot to process, but as we watch these digital creators evolve into full-blown media executives, you have to ask yourself a really difficult question. Is it actually possible to scale an empire of this magnitude without eventually becoming the villain in someone else's origin story? Next time you hit play on your favorite relatable podcast, ask yourself who is really writing the checks.
It is an ecosystem built on authenticity, but structured on cold, hard contracts. The friction between those two realities isn't going away anytime soon, and the audience is starting to see the strings attached to the puppets.
The cameras are still flashing, but the picture has definitely changed. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.